Nepal, the country in the Southeast Asia. It is considered one of the historical and cultural country in the world. The culture in Nepal consists of various arts, dress, food and festivals. Thousands of people come to Nepal every year to enjoy its culture. So in the video we are about to talk about some cultural taboos and its existence in present era. Franz Boas, often considered the founder of American anthropology, coined the definition of culture as the totality of human behavior, ideas, beliefs, and material objects that constitute the distinct achievements of a society. For Boas, culture was not a fixed or static entity, but rather a dynamic and constantly evolving process shaped by historical and environmental factors. We can see this exemplified by Nepali culture. The first practice in Nepal that existed from long time is chapati pratha, mensuration hut. On these practice, women going through the mensuration were kept in the cow shed away from the family home until their cycle is completed. This is followed because of a superstitious belief that women are impure during their period cycle. We cannot pin down the beginning of this practice, but it was very popular in the 80s and 90s, the time when Nepalese literacy was very low. People in the country are very religious and consider their house the place where God reside, so as they believe that women are impure during menstruation was the reason these practice existed in the first place. We all know that during menstruation, women are extremely weak and vulnerable. So when they are kept in these sheds, they are exposed to various bacteria and germs, which can cause them various disease. Also, by keeping women in the shed is violating their right. But today, due to people being more literate and educated about their rights, various movements and campaign by activists and government have been carried out. Due to these movement and campaigns, it have helped remove chapati pratha in large extent. Although it still exists in some extreme rural area of the country, there are still effort being put in order to completely eradicate this practice. Nepal is a male-dominated society, and it have been for hundreds of years. Women are given very less opportunity, and for any society to develop, the first step is equality among all the members of the society. But if these kind of practice is still existed, not only they violate the right of women, the development of women is also hindered, thus the development of the country in whole is jeopardized. As we have seen, so many part in Nepalese culture includes gender ideology. We know that gender refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, expectations, and identities that are associated with being male or female. It is important to note that gender is not the same as biological sex. As in Nepalese culture, the status of male have always been kept in a higher position because they are considered as the one taking care of the family, while female are seen as someone that will get married someday and eventually leave the house. In Nepali culture, the parents when they die are burned, and it is mandatory for a male member in the family to perform their death ritual. This is the reason two parents in the Nepali society are desperate for a male child than a female. Women have always been considered weak emotionally in Nepalese culture, which is the reason they are not allowed to do any of these rituals. But these taboos have been slowly being eradicated, as there are many daughters stood up and performed these rituals. They broke 100-years-old traditional, setting up an example that women are mentally and emotionally very strong as well. As women were not considered strong, in such a long political history of the country, there was no female leader to lead the country, until 2015, when Bidya Bhandari became the first female president of Nepal. There have been seen improvement in terms of status of women in the society, but still there are many cultural practices that have been pushing the level of women's status very low. One of them being the dowry system. It is a system where the parents of bride gives money, gifts for agreeing to marry their daughter. It is also one of the oldest and still in practice tradition in Nepal. It is, however, not unique to the country, as it exists in other countries in different form. One possible explanation for the dowry system in Nepal is the country's traditional patriarchal society, where women are often seen as inferior to men and are expected to fulfill traditional gender roles. Nepal society strongly support the idea of male providing for thr family, and women being a housewife taking care of the family, this is the reason the groom family demands money and property in return to take care of their daughter. Because of the dowry system in Nepal, have raised a lot of very big issue in the country. There have been daily news of women being tortured, beaten, and even burned to get more money out of her family. These systems have increased in violence of women. In some case the women were even killed by the groom family, so that their son can get married again, and they could get more in dowry money. Women in the country already have to face so much complication on daily basis, because of the society in Nepal making them inferior to men, and there are these practices that have only made things worse. Dowry system have not only hindered women's society, but have pushed many family toward poverty. As a poor family tries to marry their daughter into a nice and rich family, they ask them for money, and on the hope that their daughter might have a better life they agree to it and might take various loan, sell their property, which pushes them toward more poverty. Apart from the economical point, women's rights and status in the society will never improve because of such tradition. As they might consider her a burden, and the guy's family she is marrying into a source of income. The element of women and their right at this point is completely lost. As we discussed earlier too, this only raise violence against women. There have been made various laws and movement against the dowry system, but it is deep-rooted in the society. The system still does exist in the society, but hopefully these kind of system would be eradicated and removed from the country, and the right of women would be resorted, and they would get the equality they deserve. In recent time, however, women empowerment and their stance in the society have significant ally improved in the society. But there are still many problems that can be improved. The government is also not responsible for improvement of the community, sometimes even the people have to take the initiatives. Nepal is a country even with such a huge capability, is still one of the least developed nation in the world. So only after every human in the society is treated the same, and with the opportunity, the development of the people, society, and the country in the whole is possible. Not only the women, the LGBTQ community in the country also have been facing a lot of problem from the past. They are treated as a different person. Even their parents feel guilty with their children's sexuality. This is because the society is very traditional, and they fear that the society will not accept them and will expel them. This have been a problem from the past and still continue in large extent. Although there have been a mass ongoing movements and fight to have right for all these people, it is still very hard for them to live a normal life in the country. As I mentioned in the opening of the video, the culture is a changing phenomenon, and it will continue to evolve. When all human beings accept this, then only a society can move forward. If people in Nepal are not open to the idea of the change, there is huge possibility that they would always be stuck in the past, and thus there would be no development in the mentally and the county. Yes, it might risk the tradition and culture, but there is no reason to follow all these bad taboos in the name of culture that have been hindering someone's right to live freedom. At the end, I would like to conclude the video with the positive message that, yes, Nepal do have many flaws in their culture and tradition, but it is one of the most beautiful and diversified country in terms of culture, nature, beauty. If anyone ever have a chance to visit this beautiful land of mountains, I highly suggest you do, and I promise that you would have a whole different perspective and appreciation of life. Thank you for watching.